everyone. Welcome back to the Natural State of Wrestling podcast. My name is Irvin.
And this is Justin.
And today we're actually joined by someone who've actually seen perform live here in Springdale before in the past for another company that was active a few years back. We have Max Castellanos. Max, how are you, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Glad you're here. Glad we're able to
Yeah.
make this interview happen. Definitely want to talk so much about, the work that you've done here in Springdale specifically, but also just for the folks that haven't gotten the chance to see you perform live or haven't seen a wrestling match of yours. Want to give them a little bit more information on what they should look out for if they see you on YouTube, or hey, if you ever come back to Arkansas, what they can expect. But I guess some of the first information that I was kind of researching on you, I'm not sure if this is because you never believe the internet, right? The internet sometimes lies. But according to the internet, you were born in San Antonio, Texas. Is that true or not?
That's not true.
Mexico, then. It was Mexico, right? You told me.
I grew up in Mexico, but I was born in McAllen, Texas.
Okay. But you're Texas then. You've lived there your entire life.
So basically, I was born in McAllen, Texas, but I was raised till about the age of 12 in Mexico. And then during that time, I would go back and forth. I would go to school in McAllen, but I would live in Mexico. We used to live in a ranch and basically the middle of nowhere. It was about 30 miles away from Reynosa, which is Reynosa, Tamaulipas. So it was in the middle of basically nowhere, man. And I grew up, I guess, eating fucking, chickens, eggs, and all this stuff. So they look at my dad, and my dad's about 5'7", and they're like, "How the fuck are you 6'1"?" I'm sorry, can I?
You can cuss.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're good.
6'1". My brother is also my brother's a little bit taller than me. And I'm like, "How you guys so tall? But your dad and stuff." I was like, dude, I honestly believe that nutrition plays a huge role in your development as a kid. And all we were fed was eggs, chicken, and beans, for
The food isn't processed over there, man. Everything is clean.
Exactly. So and all we did was play basketball and watch wrestling. So we were out there playing basketball, we were watching wrestling, play with our action figures and stuff like that until eventually, we ended up coming to McAllen and just staying in McAllen. So our change of living went from the ranch life to the city. And I was like, man, this is so different because we went from no electricity. We always had to, do our fires and stuff like that. And we didn't have running water. We had like this big, I don't know how you say it, but in Spanish it's called a rotoplas.
Mm.
You store all this water, and we will use that water to bathe. We use that water to cook and everything. So at a very young age, I learned how kind of like, it's not everything's given to you. And I truly believe that those were the building blocks of me becoming the person I am today, because I said, you know what, man, like all those little situations I went through as a young kid has taught me that you got to hustle in this life if you want to move forward and stuff. And I saw my mom. I saw my mom and my dad, how much they worked their ass off to put food on the table and to provide us with the proper education. And, eventually they ended up getting divorced and separated, but that's a whole different story, man. But yeah, dude, I guess I grew up in the ranch life where part of me now, I would never live in the ranch because all the rattlesnakes, the tarantulas. Dude, I hated it. There was one time I remember I got up to the restroom in the middle of the night. I was a young kid, and I opened up the toilet seat, and there was a snake.
Nah, bro. That's like I've seen that on like YouTube videos before, and I'm like, do people actually experience this when they open the toilet and there's like a big old snake in there?
Dude,
Make us move immediately.
Like, I'm not afraid of a lot of things, but you put a snake in front of me and
it's crazy that you mentioned the whole like water tank thing that you're talking about in Mexico, where they like have to fill it up, because I was just there about 3 weeks ago. I was in Zacatecas with my wife because she's from there. And there was one day where her family forgot to put the water in there, and we couldn't take a shower for like 2 days. And it's one of those things where when I got home, like once I landed in the US and we went to like my wife's cousin's house in Texas, took a shower right away. And we didn't have to worry about putting no dang water on the tank, right? But it's one of those things where you don't realize that it's a privilege that you have, because we're literally born with it here in the US. We don't have to worry about putting water in a dang tank, and people Absolutely. And people still have to do that nowadays. So You went back and forth from Texas to Mexico, which I'm guessing back then it was much more easier to do just in general. There wasn't that much issues like there is nowadays. But you were raised in Tamaulipas también. You spent some time there. And right now it is considered one of the most dangerous places, not only in Mexico, but in the world, just because of the violence and everything like that. How often do you go down there now?
Man, I'll be honest, I haven't been there probably in 10 years. And that's the reason my dad, he still lives there. And he says, hey man, he says, don't even think of coming down here to, go party or anything, or even visit me. He says, this place is not what it used to be. And that's the reason we left back to the US to live, because the cartel activity just got extremely bad. And we were put in situations by those people that, I guess by the grace of God, nothing happened, but we didn't want to take that risk. And you know what, Dad? Like, I'll just wait for you to cross over here to come see me. And I just met with my dad. I hadn't seen him for a year and a half. Um, he couldn't cross over here, and I just didn't want to go over there. So a year and a half passed by that I didn't see him, and then he developed stage 5 kidney failure and prostate cancer. So it was very difficult, for a year and a half, just having to FaceTime him and seeing how his body was deteriorating. He went from 210 to about 140 in about 6 months. And I remember one time he called me and he was just extremely yellow. I said, Dad, I was like, I don't want to scare you, but you need to go to the doc right now. And he's like, no, man. He's like, I'm all right. He's like, it'll pass. I said, no, like the skin yellow, that's something serious. Now that's dealing with the liver. I'm sorry, my voice. And he went and he got blood work done, and the blood work was just horrendous, So, I mean, his kidneys don't work no more. He's on dialysis for the rest of his life. They removed his prostate, and he's not the guy I grew up with, And I look at him now, and that's why I made that video for him, because I really don't know how much time I have left with him. We are really, we feel entitled that, hey, I'll catch you next time, or hey, I'll call this person next week. That's entitlement, dude. What gives you that right that you're gonna have that person then? I've had people die in front of me. I had once, because I do personal training. I had a client of mine that I was training had a brain aneurysm, and he collapsed in front of me. He died in my arms. So it was very difficult situation, because it's like I'm talking to you in person, and he was a friend of mine for 5 years. He would go see my wrestling shows. He would buy all my t-shirts. And I remember we were having a conversation. He's like, hey man, what are you doing this weekend? And that weekend I had to move apartments. So I'm like, yeah, dude, I gotta, move apartments. And all of a sudden collapses. He starts convulsing. He starts snoring. He's gone. So, it's kind of like, dude, fuck, man, how do you move on? How do you continue training clients after that? Because now in your head, you have this trauma that you say, what if this happens again? And, for a few weeks, I had a lot of nightmares where me and him would meet up at the gym, and the scenario would happen again, and it would happen again. And so it was like a form of PTSD, I guess. Eventually I got over it, but I remember the time my ex-girlfriend was like, hey, like, if you got to go somewhere to therapy or something. So no, like, I've been through rough stuff, man. And here's the thing is, sometimes this trauma builds you into the strong version you need to be, man. Because some people break. And when it comes to situations like this, I won't break. But in bad situations where I said, okay, cool, what's the next move? What do we do? When he was in my arms convulsing, I was like, call 911. The whole gym stopped. I remember I even fucking felt like the music stopped at the gym. Everybody's just looking. I was like, call 911. And people are like, oh, people paralyzed with fear. And that's one thing I always told myself is I'm never going to let fear or an individual paralyze me where I say, I can't do this. No, yes, I can. Because I mean, fear, what does it stand for? False evidence appearing real. And there's people that act when something goes down, and there's people that freeze. I never want to be the person that freezes, because
Well, that's
sometimes
the fight and flight response, right? Some people,
exactly.
in your case, you'd fight.
Yes, yes. And that's basically all I've known all my life, dude, is, I'm a nice guy and I'll be, how can some women say, some girls I've dated, they're like, you're like a teddy bear. You're like, you look tough and stuff, but you're real nice in real life. I say, yeah, but piss me off. Get a hold.
So how would you say, like, when in regards to your character, would you say that, because based on what the conversations I've had with you, it kind of sounds like it's you but turn up.
It's me, dude. That's who I am. That's why it's so easy to go out there and just be who I am. And people, oh, like, you're so mean out there, but you're so nice. It's like, no, it's just I put my mindset somewhere else where I feel, I'm being disrespected by everybody. And you go to different places and they're like, oh, go back to Mexico, whatever. I said, okay, cool, whatever. So that gets me amped up. I was like, I don't get offended. It's very hard for me to get offended, but I get into it very fast because I can turn that switch real quick. Even when I've done, my matches in front of, WWE scouts and all these people, is boom, you got to turn on while the other guys are playing wrestler. It's like, dude, no, these guys have seen the best of the best of the best in the world. And if they come up to you and they're like, hey, man, you have what it takes to make it. It's just a matter of time. If I had a guy like Mark Henry, be like, hey, man, you have what it takes to make it. Hey, guys that I've looked up to as kids, as I was a kid when I was watching wrestling. And I don't know, I take that as hard work does pay off, because for me I'm not so much on the tangible stuff. I'm more on the intangible, which is a respect. When people say, hey, man, I remember you 7 years ago, you came in and now look at you, you're slowly moving up. And for me, my goal is the WWE. My goal is getting a contract. I told myself I cannot die and I get a contract. I just refuse to accept that one day I say I want to look back at these interviews and be like, man, yeah, dude, I'm that hard-headed. I'm that you're gonna tell me no. Eventually you're gonna tell me yes.
It would make so much sense. I mean, how many 6'1" Latinos are there in the independent scene?
And they can cut promos in Spanish and cut promos in English, and at the same time have the intensity, have the size. Tell me another guy. WWE doesn't even have that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just like, it's a matter of time that you have to stay ready.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I truly believe in, is always stay in shape, always stay ready, always work on my promos. Like, if somebody's watching, but nobody's watching, dude, because I consistently, every single week, I cut promos before I go to sleep. I'm there. I have hundreds and hundreds of promos on my phone of just me standing there in front of the camera at 1 a.m. when I can't sleep, cutting promos, because I am so fucking tired of just being in the independent scene. And I said, no, man, I'm 29 years old. I know by a fact that I'm about to hit my best years yet. I can be on TV. And I truly believe, and that's the thing, is when you bet on yourself and when you truly believe in yourself and you provide it with the ability, the talent, it's just a matter of time that the opportunity meets with preparation, and that equals luck. When people say, you're so lucky, no, it's not, dude. It's preparation meets opportunity. Because all this stuff that I do when nobody's watching, how's that lucky? No, I could be, asleep. I could be watching Netflix. But I choose not to, because I know that the job of my dreams requires to cut promos. And nowadays, I don't think a lot of guys can cut promos where people sit there and they're like tuned in, and that's one thing that has ever since I was a kid, is I'm a promo guy. I love sitting down, see what the guy's gonna say, how he's gonna say it. Do I feel like I believed it? And I'm like, next. So for me, it's like, I'll watch my promos like, nope, not believable, in between. Okay, that's a little bit better. Keep that, take that off. And once you find, what side looks better for you, how to look at the camera, when to turn and stuff, you start realizing who you are. So whenever this, hey man, can you cut a 60-second promo? Yes. Boom. Because you've done it so many times that you mastered it. And some guys are like, oh, well, hold on. No, man, you ain't got time to hold on. You had
I'm
all
guessing
this.
you're probably one of like your biggest critics, right? Just based on what you're saying right now. You probably look at your stuff constantly and be like, I should have done this, could have done that.
Yes. And even if I do it good, I could have done it better. And even if I did it great, no, I could have done it better. I remember we had a great, me and Moonshine had a great match. And Kevin Sullivan comes up to us. He's like, kid, I want a ticket for front row at WrestleMania when you make it. I
Mm.
said, Kevin. I'm
That's
like, "What?"
awesome.
Yeah, he's like, God damn kid. He's like, you're a hell of a talent. He says that match was stupendous.
Mm.
I was like, in my head, I was like, I didn't think it was a great match. I think we fucked up here. We could have done this. We could have done. In his eyes, he's like, nope. That is what I'm talking about. I said, okay, thank you. I mean, I didn't say nothing, but in my head, I was like, no, I can, and that's how it is, man. Is one of the things I was just telling somebody the other day, like, you want to piss me off, is tell me, hey, stop being so hard on yourself. I hate that. I hate that because the thing is, the reason society is the way it is, the reason people are so lazy is because no, you don't got to work so hard. Be soft on yourself, take a day off. Why though? Why, dude? Is we got so many limited days on this earth. And for you to say, you know what, today I'm just not feeling like it. There's kids in the hospital, dude, that are dying of cancer that wish they had the gifts that we have.
Mm.
There's people out there with an amputated leg, or people that just got diagnosed with, or somebody just dropped dead of a brain aneurysm. And you're over here contemplating whether you want to go after today or not.
Mm.
Get out of the face, dude. That tells me everything. That tells me where your hunger level is at. Because the thing is, when you're hungry, dude, and you're gonna find anything to eat. And
Yeah.
that's what it's like, dude. I've gotten to a point that this past couple of years of my life, I've faced so much adversity and so much situations that I said, man, I it's either now or never.
Yeah.
And I realized that sometimes you got to make those phone calls, you got to send those emails, you got to. And what's the words they're gonna say? No, or they're not gonna answer. Unless you got too much pride, then yeah, that's gonna really affect you. But if you don't, you're gonna keep sending. Hey, here are my pictures. Here are my matches. Hey. Oh, I'm going in for a tryout. Oh shit. Well, now it's time to show it off.
Mm.
I've had a tryout before with WWE. I wasn't where I am right now. Back then, was I prepared to a point? Yes, physically, but I didn't work on my promos the way I do now because I didn't know any better. When I went there, I thought they were just going off looks.
Mm.
Looks only gets you so far, but when you open your mouth and you have a stick in your hand, if you don't know how to cut a promo, you're useless. Because how many guys are 6'6", 300 pounds, probably bigger than Lesnar, haven't even got a sign because they can't even talk. They can't work. It's more than just looks. And I say you have to be the total package where you know how to work, you know how to talk, you know how to communicate with the people, you know how to, when to do certain things, when the crowd is going up, do you keep going higher? You know how to maintain that,
You were on their
cut.
TV recently, right?
Yeah, they for a spot with Lesnar. Hey man, they need to stop Lesnar, so they call me. No, I'm kidding.
I saw that little screenshot that you had. I think they had you block security, do security for them. So how does that, like, first of all, how that these opportunities or the relationship with WWE, where are you at right now? Or are you just kind of waiting to be invited to like the next tryout that they have? Is that kind of where you're at with that, or
Well, right now
what's your
I
status?
got a good relationship with a good person there at WWE, so I can't say much, but I'm gonna find my way in.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. And look back at this and be like, damn, that's my goal. So I'm keeping those relationships as healthy as possible and just, say, hey man, here's my stuff, this and that. And like I said, is be in the best physical shape I possibly can, be ready to go. If the phone rings, same thing like Lesnar, they called me 48 hours before. So, hey, you be on Monday Night Raw in Fort Worth. And I said, man, it's Saturday. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you said yes, man. How was that your first TV appearance for Raw, or have you been on before?
I've done a lot of extra work, but I've never been on TV. I've had my NXT match back in 2018 against Conor Reeves. Yeah. I've had a trial with WWE. But the other times I went for extra work, I remember I did a spot for Vince. Remember when Lashley speared Braun Strowman off the stage or something like that? Okay, so me and Justin Taylor were the rehearsal guys before the show for them. So they call us in, Vince, Laurinaitis. They're like, hey, you come here. And I'm like, all right. So Vince just keeps looking at me like head to toe. I'm like, and Shane comes up next to me. He's like, what's up? I said, what's up? He's like, I'm like, all right, what are we doing? I mean, we're just standing here with the top guys of the company. He's like, okay. So Vince says, he's like, I need you to spear the shit out of him. So I look at Justin, and Justin's like, yes, sir, yes, sir. So they had the whole crash pad. Justin is standing there, and I go running, and I give him, I mean, the best spear I possibly can, dude. All I was thinking was, so I speared him off the stage. We fell. All these fireworks came up. They put us in a stretcher, in the ambulance, a whole 9 yards, and they said, "All right, do it again." I was like, "Oh damn!" So we did like 6 times, dude, over and over again. And then Lashley and Strowman are there watching, and they're like, okay, cool, cool. And then they ended up doing it for the show, the night. So we were the ones that had to take the bumps to make sure that everything was safe. Mm-hmm. And we got, I mean, I got a good payday that day just for doing that. And it was a pretty cool experience, you know, being there with Vince, Laurinaitis, Shane McMahon, Stephanie, Triple H, and all these people. And I said, man, like, I really could see myself being in this, working here, dude. This is fucking awesome. I mean, when I went to Monday Night Raw on May 1st, I don't know, dude. It's just like, man, I love this, dude. This is like,
I feel like you belong there.
Yeah, like I want to be here, and you know, you just get along with the guys. I mean, you know, I struck some conversations. I bumped into Teddy. Teddy's a good friend of mine, Teddy Long. And he's like, Max, how are you, brother? He's like, your promos at SWE, man. He's like, those hell of a promos. I don't know if you remember the promos I did with the girls and all this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I got the whole camera of professional stuff, and it was one of the hardest things to do, to get all those people that are not wrestling fans, like those girls, to understand what we're doing. They're like, this is so cheesy. I'm like, that's shut up. Like, okay.
You clearly have this enormous passion for the business, which is awesome, and you gotta have it. And you said it kind of started when you were a kid, like playing with your toys and watching wrestling. What do you have, like a moment that you remember from your childhood that was like the moment you became a wrestling fan?
Yes, absolutely I do, and it's always going to be burned in my mind. So in 1998, 99, I can't be specific which year it is, but I remember my uncle, which is 5 years older than me. He was like my older brother at the time. He was in the living room at my grandma's house, and I walk in, and he's watching wrestling like full volume, and Stone Cold Steve Austin's coming down the ramp. I was like, who's that bald guy? He's like, oh, that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. I said, whoa, well, that name is too long. Who? And I just sat down, and I remember crossing my feet and I was glued to the TV, dude. And ever since, for me, Steve Austin has been the guy that inspired me to go after this. And believe it or not, dude, growing up, like I said early in the situation I've been put in, I 100% thought wrestling was real. And I would look at Stone Cold's attitude, that he was not afraid of nobody. And I said, I have to be like that. I have to be like that. I have to be like that. And believe it or not, do that. His character helped me in real life, where I never met Steve Austin, but if I ever get the opportunity to meet him, be like, man, I know you probably heard this a lot, but it is a true honor, because the reason I started watching wrestling because of you. I said it before we went on air. I said, if I was a kid in today's generation, I wouldn't watch wrestling, because I don't believe anybody. You know, the only believable guys I would say is Brock, Roman. That's it. You know, it's a very hard, man. And back then you had so much fucking talent that everybody was man. Everybody's manly man. And you're like, dude, I wouldn't fuck with that guy. Because if I try to pick a fight with that guy probably kick my ass. Now you got some guys that are 130 pounds just because they know Joe over here. That's why they're hired. You know, some people are like, oh, you shouldn't say that. I don't give a fuck. You know, I don't, what are they, you know? I mean, you know, it is the truth. And the thing is sometimes is who you know. And unfortunately, but the thing is I have many clients that I train online and in person, and they gone to wrestling shows whenever I wrestle around either Texas or the States. And they say, hey, when you wrestled, were you mad at the guy? I say, what do you mean? Like, you beat the fuck out of him. They're like, the other like, why do they slap like their leg when they kick? This is people who are non-wrestling fans catching on, seeing people slap their thighs. They're like, yeah, it's fake. But when you see a real chop, when you see an aggressive suplex, when you see, why you think Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle, these guys were so physical and they were so over because of their work. I mean, I look at some matches of Kurt Angle, Eddie, and I was like, God damn, dude, that's tough, dude. Imagine doing that a year round, dude. That's what I love about wrestling, that I say not a lot of guys are doing, and I want to bring to the table. And I mean, I do, and I keep it on the table, is have that intensity and that aggressive, where people leave and they're like, what?
Is that real?
Did you see that chair shot? Oh my God. I mean, it's gonna sting, but one thing I can't stand is when a guy grabs a chair and they're like, it's like, come on, dude, hit the guy. If not, don't do the spot. And that's the thing. People sometimes do it because they can. Sometimes just because you can, you should. It doesn't mean you should do it. And that's what I'm saying. If I'm gonna give you a chair shot, it's gonna sting. I promise. It's gonna sting for about 10 seconds. But we're gonna
the chair is a I guess an integral part of your character, right? Because I remember that you emphasize on, I'm not sure if using chairs, but I know that you like a lot of your promotional stuff, or even when you were here in WCWA, you kind of made like the chair an important part of your persona.
Right. It became just a part of who I am. I mean, I started I started using the chair basically by accident. I grabbed a steel chair, and I remember I gave this guy, I think it was in Corpus, I give this guy a hard chair shot on the back. Oh, and the whole people, oh. Then a guy comes to the back, one of the fans, and he's like, hey man, he's like, if you sign that chair, I'll give you $100 for it. Dude, I got this chair the chair was next to the dumpster. And I grabbed the chair for the spot, and I said, yeah, dude, let's do it. And then after that, I went driving home, and I said, what if I put my logo in a chair? And I start creating montage of different videos of me hitting guys with chair, and then I try to sell a chair. So I say, okay, for the next 10 matches, I'm going to get as much footage as I can. Even if I go over, I don't go over. I ask the promoter and the other workers, hey, man, can I get a chair shot in? Oh, yeah, that's cool. That's cool. This guy's going over, though. Like, I don't give a fuck about that. Can I give him a chair shot? Yes. So I did montage. I love editing videos. So I edited the whole video, and I put it on my Instagram. And I said, coming soon, the official Max Castellanos chair. I sold 21 chairs in one day at $100 a piece.
Oof, that's awesome.
You do the math.
And considering how much did you spend for those 21 chairs in total? Probably like what? They're like maybe $200-$300 maybe.
Give or take, yep.
And you multiplied it by like 5 or almost by 5.
Yeah.
Right. So here's the thing. I look at my bank statements, because I had at the time I had my online store, and I was like, holy shit, dude, 21 chairs. Now the question is, how am I gonna ship them out? I started stressing because I didn't think this thing was gonna like hit. So I go to UPS store, and I say, hey man, like for this foldable chair, he's like, oh, so this guy comes out with like this fridge box. He's like, man, we can fit this in. It's gonna cost you $109. Like, no. What do you mean $109 for shipping? He's like, yeah, dude. He's like, it's very hard to ship a chair like that. So I went to FedEx. They told me about $70 to ship it. I said, oh my God, what did I get myself into? So I'm like driving around, and I'm just saying, like, okay, I can, come on, you can think. So I pull up to Home Depot, and I'm walking around Home Depot, and I go to the boxes, and I'm looking at boxes. Okay, how can I fit this chair? So all these boxes are like squared, where you can put it in.
Yeah.
And I said, what if I cut the box in half, slide the chair, and fold it like a taco, and then wrap it with tape? I did that. I showed up to UPS. They're like, that'll be $9 for shipping. I was like, there you go. So I shipped them all out, man. And I was like, dude, what the hell? And then every show I started taking steel chairs, and I was selling about 3 to 6 chairs per show. So, I mean, that's an extra $300 to $600 per show. Not a lot of guys make that much money on merch, and then later on, when it started, like, I started doing it on SWE, and SWE had that platform for footage and stuff. All of a sudden, I start seeing Sean Spears on AEW do the chair gimmick. Motherfucker.
It goes by the chairman as well now, too.
Yeah, because he has that platform. So I was like, but whose idea was it? And I said, all right, that's cool, man.
You got the
You know,
receipts.
yeah, but what I'm saying is here's the thing is go ahead and run with it, whatever. But originality, I know I came up with it. And the thing is I know I don't have to steal anybody else's stuff or whatever. If that was the case, I mean, I don't know, from what I heard, that was the case. I don't know, and I really don't care. But what I do care is that I'm always thinking of how to make myself different from other guys, from the way I walk to the way I talk to the way I perform to the way I truly believe that every time that I go to camps or whatever, I'm the one that stands out. And it has to be that way because same thing like Regal says, you have to pass that airport test. And I feel that when you're in a wrestling show, especially in the independent scene, you can have 30 guys in the card, but who's the people gonna probably remember? And be like, man, that fucking guy's crazy. That guy grabbed a chair, he fucking beat the shit on whatever. I made me boo that guy, but then I laughed or whatever. And that's the thing, wrestling, you got to create emotion. You got to create. It's like, man, I want to come back. I want to come back. They're doing a chairs match, next show. They're doing a cage match, or they're doing. I like that, dude, because that's what sells tickets. And the thing is sometimes when you sell a show, it's okay. How can we sell the next two shows? Why does it have to be one show? What if we create a program for the next 3 to 6 months? And if you look at me and Moonshine's feud and SWE, our feud was about eight months long. And everyone was on board, from Teddy to Kevin Sullivan to James Beard to Mark Henry, Charlie Haas, all these guys. Man, you guys are killing it, dude. From the promos to the matches to the backstage interviews and stuff. And I had a lot of fun because they gave us a lot of freedom to be who we are.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when somebody tries to tell you, no, you got to say it like this, it's like you're not who you are, and people can see through that. They're like, he's just reading the script. So, it's cool, man. If I got to read a script, I'll read a script, but I got to make sure I give it my who Max is. So people cannot be like, oh, he's reading a script. It's like, oh, damn, like he's mad. What is he mad about? I want to hear what he has to say. And to the people that are watching that haven't seen some of my promos, is go on YouTube and put SWE Max Castellanos promos, and you're gonna see the dumb stuff I do, but it's entertaining, and it's very fun, man. I mean, I love this business and might as well have fun with it because it's not gonna last a long time. And one day I know eventually I'm not gonna wrestle anymore. So I want to look back and be like, I gave it everything I had, and I was not afraid basically anything, because like I said, I'm not really afraid of a lot of things. I'm not afraid of rejection. I'm not afraid of, what if you fail? Cool. I need to fail in order for me to grow. That's the only way I'm going to learn of who I am. And some people are so afraid of failure that they kind of say, oh, you know what, maybe I'll wait, or I won't try it. It's like, why not, dude? Why not? I'm head on, dude. I've lost more than I can count.
Yeah.
Have lost more than I ever won. But the thing is I found out a lot about myself, and that's the beauty of looking at myself at 29 years old compared to when I was 19. And when I was 19, I was competing in bodybuilding and strongman, and I knew I wanted to be a wrestler one day, but to be honest with you, I was just embarrassed. I was like, man, really? Like, I'm gonna put underwear on, and I don't know, like, I'll do that later. Now let me focus on bodybuilding. I built up the body because I knew that physique was one of the parts to being, try to look like a wrestler or a superstar or whatever. But believe it or not, dude, I was extremely embarrassed. I was like, man, like, really, underwear? Like, things and stuff. And I remember when right before I moved from McAllen to San Antonio, I went up to my boss and I said, hey, her name was Amber. Her name's Amber. I was like, hey, Amber, I'm going to put in my 2-week notice. She's like, why are you going to do that? You are the one with the most clients. You bring in a lot of money. You're making a lot of money for a 19-year-old kid. I was making per check, personal training. I was making about close to $4,000 every 2 weeks. Dude, at 19 years old, living with your mom, 4 Gs, that's a lot of money. And I was just training from 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. all day, every day. Boom, boom, just training clients, working out. The gym was my life. I lived at the gym. I literally almost had a bed at the gym because, my microwave, everything was at the gym. And I was just there. I mean, and she's like, why are you going to do that? I said, well, I'm gonna pursue a different career. She said, what career is that? I said, competitor. She's like, oh, like bodybuilding? I said, no, wrestling competitor. She's like, what do you mean wrestling competitor? I was like, you know how like wrestling, right? And she's like, yes. She's like, wait, those guys with underwear and baby oil on? I feel like I look at her face and she's like, oh, why are you gonna do that? I don't know, man. I said, I don't know. I was like, I don't want to wonder what if. I want to give it a shot. And she said, I respect that. She says, good luck to you. I wish you the best. And then from there, dude, it was head on. I dropped everything back home and I moved to San Antonio. And I never looked back since. I mean, there's been some times where everything goes south. And I was like, dude, is this even worth it? But it never fails to happen that there's that little light at the end of the tunnel where you're like, you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And
you took a break recently, right? You recently came back from a break that you've I think in February you told me that you came back. Just take that time for yourself to kind of, you know, like what did you need a break or where was your mind at that time?
I needed a break mentally. I wouldn't say physically, but mentally, I definitely needed a break. A lot of stuff was going on behind the scenes that, I mean, I'm not going to go into detail and stuff, but the only thing I will say that kind of led the first two events was the passing of my client. It kind of like threw me off, dude. I was like, man, like I was like, do I have a brain aneurysm? You know what? I started, you know, all these things, dude. Then me and my ex-girlfriend, we lost a baby. So that went, yeah, that went spiraling down even more where I was just like, I would go to wrestling shows and you have these two grown men fighting of who's gonna win a fake fight or a planned fight. I was like, man, fuck this motherfuckers. Like, I'm tired of this, dude. Like, you know, half of these guys don't even know how to fight in real life. And they're over here acting like, well, here's the thing, and I'll say it, dude. And wrestling has the fakest, toughest guys I've ever met in my life. Oh, you know, write all this stuff on social media and act all this stuff. But when it comes time to throw it down in real life, nobody says anything, nobody does anything. And for me, I lose respect on that because I'm the type of guy, like I said, growing up and stuff like that is, you know, we don't talk. It's more like, okay, you and me, let's go fix it somewhere. The guys don't do that. They're like, no, 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 why you gotta fight? Why you gotta fight? Well, then shut up. You know, so I got to a point, dude, that I was going to these shows and I was just so annoyed. I was so like angry. And I was looking at these guys. I'm like, dude, yes, you'll go over, dude. You're the champion. You're the world champion in your fucking community. You know, put the bell on, like, you know. And I just got like disgusted with wrestling. And once my mind and heart is not into something, I'll walk away, dude. I have walked away from a lot of stuff. I walked away from relationships with, you know, women I loved and I dearly miss. But if I saw no more value, it's time to go. And some people can't let that go. Like, no, no, it's because I'm gonna miss you. Too fucking bad. It is what it is. Once
back.
What's up?
What brought you back?
What brought me back? I was, I guess, clear in my mind, dude. Is I had to be away and then looking in and said, do I really want to do this? I said, yes. A week went by. I was like, do I really want to do this? Yes. Do I know I can do this? Yes. Do I know I can do this better than ever before? Yes. I said, cool. Let me give it one more shot, and I'm gonna go as hard as I can, all the way in, travel as much as I can, make my name as big as possible. And like I said earlier, I believe in myself. I said, let's go for it. And that's what motivated me to get back into the gym, get back in shape. You know, I said, you know what? And I mean, I added tattoo to my body and stuff like that, which has a lot of meaning to me. And it just started slowly changing who I guess who I was. You know, I look at some pictures when I'm younger. I'm like, man, the young boy is like so young and like nice. And if you look at the progression of who Max was in 2016 to who I am now, it's just the aggression. Everything started changing. And honestly, I have to, real life is what made me change. And I bring that into the ring. That's why when people say, oh, that's your character, I'm like, no, this is really who I am. It's just amped up. You know, that's the truth.
So you right now, I guess you've said that specifically your goal is WWE. That's kind of where you're hyper focused.
Yes. That's it.
And what would you say, you know, you touched a little bit about what you're doing right now. Is there anything else that you're doing on the side to get to that goal? Like, what else are you doing for yourself to get to that goal of WWE at the moment, besides doing, you know, traveling all over the place, besides putting up as much content as possible and stuff? Is there anything else that maybe we haven't mentioned before?
So I filmed a movie with some producers and stuff, directors in San Antonio. It's a full-length movie, and I'm the what do you call it, the leading guy in the movie. It's called Sacred Mask. It should be coming out later this year. There has been delays on the movie because of some issues that went down, but finally the movie, I went to actually go see it last month, and it's fully done with music and everything the way it should be. So I have that. I guess I filmed my first movie, independent movie. I've been taking acting classes, and I've been doing, you know, my personal training, stuff like that. I do a lot of school speakings, where it's what's the word? I guess public speaking and stuff like that.
You did
So
some like anti-bullying stuff too, didn't you, at some high schools?
yeah, I did 21 schools in 1 year.
Mm.
21 schools. So I did that. Um, honestly, man, right now it's just, man, besides the acting, I would say just focusing on wrestling, and just you know, keeping focused and being in shape. I felt that earlier in my career, I tried to do a lot to see what stuck, and it kind of burned me out.
Mm.
Where it's like, okay, is it better to do quantity or quality?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, you know what? I need to slow it down and focus on this. You know, focus on what the goal is. Because if I try to do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, it's like, you know, you're giving 10% energy, 15% energy, 20% energy. By the time the day is done, you're like, oh, I'm so tired. And that I tried that before, and I don't think it came out to what I expected. Now I feel that when I focus on, if it's 3 things, it's better than focusing on 10 things.
Makes sense. Would you be open at all to, like, if you got a call from a different company, would you be open to going over there?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the goal is WWE, because I mean that's the top of the mountain. And yeah, I would be open and stuff, as long as, you know, it makes sense with the pay, because it comes down to, if I'm going to put my body on the line, the money has to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, I love this business, but I'm not gonna, the way who was it? I think it was Kevin saying, I'm not gonna prostitute myself for this business, or I'm just gonna deteriorate my body for $20. Or it's like, no, you know, it has to make sense, dude. And stay true to who I am, because I'm not afraid to say no. I'm not afraid to say, well, is there any way we can, you know, make this a little bit different? Because to be honest with you, for me, is as long as it makes sense. Same thing like Booker told me, Booker T. He said, just because you don't go over doesn't mean you can't get yourself over. That's true. Some guys worries, oh, I lost a match. No, you can still get yourself over, even if you don't win the match, because there's a lot of guys. I mean, look at The Miz. I think they showed that he has lost, I don't know how many matches.
Or Seth Rollins, he went
Yes,
like
Seth Rollins.
a whole year with like winning like one match, I think.
Over those guys, because it's the way they do things. And I say, oh, fuck, that makes sense, you know? So sometimes these guys get caught up and it's like, no, I gotta win because this is my hometown. I gotta win because I'm the world champion. It's like, dude, but your stuff doesn't make sense, man. Like, it doesn't even look good. Your shots don't look good. Your kicks don't look good. Your psychology in the match doesn't look good. Yeah, but I won. You're missing the point. And that's why I don't want to fall into that trap, because that's the trap. And that's why I feel that Triple H said that, what did he say? Indie guys have a lot of bad habits or something like that. I think they said, like, that's why they're recruiting athletes or something like that, because they don't have bad habits like indie guys. I truly believe that, man. Some indie guys are just so hard-headed that it's their way or the highway. And I'm a very coachable person. Is you tell me how to do it this way, yes, sir, I'll do it that way. You know, you're the one paying me the bucks. So yeah, let's do it and stuff. And some people are like, no, it's because I'm over here, I'm over, or over here, I'm, you know, and that's, I feel that that's kind of being like a mark for yourself, to the point that you're not willing to do business for the business. And it's a job, man. I mean, it's a job. You're getting paid to do something. You have to. I don't get it. You go to work, right? And they say, hey man, can you stack those papers in the corner? No, I'm not gonna stack those fucking papers. Shut up.
That's hilarious, Mo. That is I mean, I guess the coachable part that you're talking about, I mean, naturally it comes to you because you do a lot of coaching yourself too, right? With physical fitness for the folks. I think you do it not only at the gym but also online, right? I saw you talking about how you're offering your physical fitness coach online. Pretty much anybody can have access. You probably have a website as well. People can reach out to you in case they want you to be their physical fitness coach.
Yes, I've been doing physical personal training for 11 years. I have my 10 certifications with NASM, which is the top of the line for personal training. I've trained thousands of people in person. I have people all over the country that I send programs, diets, workouts. So yeah, man, I mean, that's been the one of the main jobs that has put food on my table. And I'll tell you this, personal training is never going to go out of business because people get on the motivation of that I'm gonna lose weight, and then within 2 weeks they lose the motivation, they gain weight again, and then they come back to you 2-3 months later. It's a cycle. Until you break the cycle, that's when you become successful and you're able to find the fitness that you need. Because here's the thing, some people come up to me and they're like, hey man, when I was how old are you? I was like, oh, 29. When I was your age, man, I was bigger than you. I was like, okay, cool. But where are you at now? And that's the thing. People live in their past accomplishments that it's now, dude. Like, yeah, the past is great and it has taught me a lot of who I am. It has taught me this, but the past is the past. You can't live in the past. Same thing, like bad things happen to you in the past. You can't live on those traumas. You have to learn how to move on. And some of these people are like, yeah, man, I used to be in shape. Well, what happened? Oh, no, it's not for me anymore. I think that everybody should go to the gym or should do some form of fitness, not for the aesthetics, but for the health, for the stress levels, to prevent depression, to prevent a lot of things that are inevitable. They're going to happen if you don't train. Because if you look at somebody that doesn't work out compared to somebody who works out, the person that doesn't work out has lower testosterone, probably doesn't have the same drive, probably has close links to depression, or they're a person who works out has higher testosterone, higher motivation, they have more energy. Being in shape, I think life is much more fun.
Mm-hmm.
You can wear
I'm trying to get there, man. It's tough. That the food part of it is the most difficult part, and I don't know how you do it because you're Mexican and you live in Texas. There's good Mexican food there. There's good hamburgers there. How do you do it?
Here's the thing. You want to know what I just ate for breakfast? I ate 8 potato and egg tacos. 8.
Wow.
So that's about over 1,000 calories. But I'm a big fasting guy. So I fast a lot. So yesterday I fasted for 20 hours and I broke my fast today with that. Some people will look at the end probably like, man, how can you eat 8 tacos and still have abs? No. You missed the whole 20 hours where I was.
Well, you were starving.
People always look at the end product. They're like, man, if I was in your position, well, yeah, are you willing to do the work? No, I'm not. Then it's not for you. So when people say, oh, it's hard to get in shape, yes. And I'm glad it's hard, because when you attain it, it's that much better, because not everybody can attain it. Same thing when it comes to finances and money. To become a millionaire is extremely hard. But once somebody becomes a millionaire, oh man, it fucking feels good, because the struggle and you're like, yes, I did it. But if you're born into $1 million, I didn't really have to struggle for it. Same thing. Some kids or some people are born with amazing genetics. I mean, you look at some kids at 6 years old and they have abs. Like, how does that happen? Abs and shoulders, because they're just genetically like that. And they can do push-ups and they will get 10 times more results than a guy that goes to the gym. That's just something that it's in their genes, but that person is not going to appreciate it as much as the one that had to work for it that harder. And that's what I think the beauty of hard work is: showing up for years. And then eventually you build this whatever empire or whoever you are, and you're like, wow, man, who would have known that this guy, and people come up to you and like, damn, dude, like, what's the secret? What's the fastest way to get big arms? What's the fastest way to get six pack? Why does it have to be fast? Why can't you ask the right question of saying what's the correct way or the sustainable way? Because that's for me, it's I want to go after things that are sustainable, not things that are very short term. So that's why, like for fitness, I stay drug free because there's always that route of, oh, let me take enhancing drugs to look to see, yeah, is that sustainable though? How long are you going to be able to do that? What if you start having heart issues? What if you start having kidney issues? No, dude, I'm not going to take that bet. And I'm a guy that takes a lot of calculated risk. I just don't take risk. It's calculated risk where the probability of me winning is extremely high. And if not, I'll wait. And that's the thing is, people just take risks sometimes. They're like, oh, well, fuck it. See what happens. Well, yeah,
I think you have good you have good examples of your work, because I think you put like sometimes you put like that side by side on social media that I see you put where you're like skinny and then to what you are now. So I mean, obviously if you're doing everything naturally, like you know what you're doing to get to like a good shape, for people to see like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing, so I should obviously work with him for my own physical fitness goals.
And that's 15 years of hard work. That's 15 years of going to the gym every single day. That's 15 years of, drinking my vitamins, doing my water, my protein shakes, everything. Where people's like, damn, 15 years? Oh, no. It's like, time is still going to pass. Yeah. Just show up 1 hour every day, and you're going to thank yourself years from now. Some people are not willing to do that. They're like, no.
Now people want to get on that. What's that diabetes drug that everybody's taking nowadays? Ozempic, I think that's what it's called. Nowadays people are taking that drug because they're like, it takes their hunger away pretty much. So it's like really popular national wide right now, and people are running to their doctors to try to get prescribed for that to lose weight. But who knows what that's going to do to you in the long run, right? Because it's not a natural thing.
Sure, yeah.
But Max, where can people reach you if they want to book you, if they want to work with you, or if they want to reach out to you for personal training?
Instagram or Facebook at Max Castellanos 80 on Instagram. Same thing for Facebook. On Twitter, I'm not that active. I should be more active, but I'm more of an Instagram and Facebook guy. And YouTube, I got my vlogs. I got different stuff that I post there, with my family, construction, different things I like to do. I mean, I'm a guy that likes to do a lot of different stuff. I'm not just a one-trick pony or however you call it stuff. I love construction. I love fishing. I love being outdoors, doing trails and bike riding and stuff like that, going to the gym and just thinking outside the box, man. I don't like to be just this is the only way it is I think this life offers you a lot of different things that you can try and do, and I'm willing to to go for it, man, and just enjoy life, dude. Because like I said, I've said this many times, when people say, hey man, do you remember the good old days? Do you remember when we used to? Right now, we're living the good old days. That one day we're gonna look back at these days and be like, man, do you remember we used to wrestle? Oh man, I want to enjoy the shit out of it. Like, yeah, I do remember, but I enjoyed the shit. And they're already gone, and I'm okay. And that's the thing, when you live life like that and you truly enjoy the moment, the person, or whatever you're doing, you can move on peacefully to your next chapter. When people cannot move on to their next chapter and they can't let go of something, is because they know they didn't give it their best. They know they didn't enjoy the moment or the person. And now they're having regrets of, man, I should have tried harder. Man, I should have loved that person harder. Man, maybe if I would have forgiven that person. I can't, and that's the what if. I can't live in the what ifs. I said, I'm gonna do it now. And if it still doesn't work out, cool, man. Learn to lose. To win, you got to lose 1,000 times. And then I'm okay. I'll move. That's why when I walked out of wrestling, I don't have an addicting personality. I was like, yeah, cool, I'll leave. I mean, I know I've been busting my ass, giving it everything I have. It still hasn't gone my way. I took some time off, came back, and I'm gonna still keep going at it and do everything I can to get out there. And if it doesn't ever work out, I'm okay with that because I gave it everything I had. But if there's still a chance of me making it, I'm not gonna call it yet because there's still that hope. So I don't know, maybe, you know, that message can help somebody that's listening is truly evaluate your life, evaluate your kids, evaluate your parents, your girlfriend, boyfriend, and really enjoy it, because understand that everything one day is going to come to an end.
Mhm.
One day to the person you love the most, you're going to say your final goodbye, because everybody leaves this earth, and everything comes to an end. And when we live with that mentality every day, you say, you know what, I got to make today count. That's how I choose to live my life, because it gives more
Message.
value. It gives more value to my life.
Great message for everyone listening. Before we end this episode, Max, I want to do like just some quick rapid questions about just basic stuff that people normally ask, but for our listeners to learn a little bit more about like what your favorite things are in regards to what's your favorite venue you've performed at?
Favorite venue?
Mm-hmm. It can even be favorite city.
Also probably Dallas.
That has a big scene in Dallas, right? There is a lot of. Is that why you stay in that area? Is it because is it family, or is it mainly because there's a lot of wrestling in Texas?
I don't have family there.
Mm.
It's wrestling. Yeah, dude. Those fans, I mean, they're into it, dude. San Antonio is kind of like, they're just there just because they probably got nothing. But Dallas is like, those people are going there to boo. They're going there to cheer. They're going there to buy merch. They're going there to support pro wrestling. And I would say Dallas, dude, to be honest.
Okay. What about your favorite opponent so far?
My favorite opponent so far, man, I gotta say Moonshine Mantel. That guy, me and him, our chemistry in the ring, we can just walk and talk in there. Call it in the ring. Everything is just, it flows. He knows me so well. I know him so well that I don't have to call 1,000 spots. Nothing, dude. Sometimes we don't even, you know, we just go out there and we have some of our best matches. So I would say Moonshine. If Moonshine's listening, it's been a while since I hit him. So hopefully I see him soon.
Favorite cheat meal?
Favorite cheat meal? I'm a burger guy. So I would say burgers.
Makes sense. Makes sense. What about favorite song to listen to get in the zone, to get in like the wrestling zone? If you do that.
Favorite song? I really, it's not a super old song, but it came out back in 2014. It's Moving On by Asking Alexandria.
Mm.
I really like that song, dude. I don't know why. What it says about the being on the road, and you know, if you haven't heard that song, listen to the song. It's a real good song. I love the music video they have of how they're on tour, and you know, they miss their family and stuff like that. It's like it relates a lot to wrestling. And I said, man, like, because I'm not on the road like some guys are, but what I'm saying is being away, because I mean, I live here in San Antonio, but I don't have family here. I'm on my own, and I don't get to see my family that much. I kind of think of that, and me being away from my family actually motivates me to push even harder. When I'm at home and I have my loved ones around me, or everything's going good, I kind of like I get in my comfort zone. I settle down. I don't want to try so hard. You know, everything's good. And part of me likes the being uncomfortable. Part of me likes stress. Part of me likes anxiety. Part of me likes pressure. I don't know, dude. I crave it. Like if I don't have pressure, anxiety in my life, it's boring.
That makes
So
sense.
some people's like, no, I need medication for fucking anxiety. I don't want to have anxiety. No, that's the pressure of life. It's that anxiety of, man, what's gonna happen, dude? What I got to do to that gets me going, dude. I don't know. It's fucking weird, but
Bro, if I have intense anxiety, I'm taking medication, Max. I'm sorry, but I don't want to deal with it. Are you a book guy? Do you like to read?
I like to read. Yes, I like to write more than read.
Is there any book that you can think of that you would recommend people to read that you liked?
A book that I've listened to the audiobook and read it maybe about 3 to 4 times is, and this is extremely random, is a 50 Cent Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. It's a new book he released about 3 years ago. Dude, that guy, I've always been a 50 Cent fan ever since growing up. but that guy is a genius. If you sit down and read the book and listen to the audiobook, everything that he puts in perspective, you're like, what the hell? Like, that's so true. He talks about, I mean, the psychology, he talks about fear. I mean, he opens up the book with saying, he's like, my biggest fear was losing my mom. So his mom got killed at 8 years old. He says, after that, my biggest fear had already been done. So I was not afraid of anything.
Wow.
So how do you stop a man who's not afraid of anything?
Yeah.
That's powerful.
That's one of the things, like, obviously my dad did not get killed, right? But that's one of the things that I always talk about is that, like, my dad passed away when I was like 16, 17. And I also thought to myself at that time, like, nothing can get worse in this moment, you know? Nothing can get worse at this moment. So things can only go up from here. So I definitely relate to what you're saying that he said there too, because at that point it's like all you can do is go up, and nothing else kind of seems like a big problem anymore. Everything is just small from that point going forward. So I'll definitely have to check that out. What was the name of it again, you said?
Hustle Smarter. Oh no, it's Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. Something like, just put 50 Cent audiobook and it's gonna pop up. He's sitting down like in a chair. You won't miss it. It's a really good book. And I've heard it, about 5 times, dude. I read it about 5 times, and that's the only book that I've opened more than once. So it's a good.
And the last question is, if you had to show someone a match of yours to be like, look, this is me, this is what I do, what match would that be?
I would say the steel cage match between me and Moonshine for SWE of 2021.
Okay.
The steel cage match. I got busted up pretty bad with the chair shot. So the chair shot had bar wire.
Oh damn.
So the
match, it's a good match.
Should have sold that one, man. Should have sold that one. Should have sold that that chair. $200.
Did sell it for $300.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my barber bought it.
Nice.
There you go. There you go. Well, Max, I appreciate you making the time to be here, man. I'm excited for people to learn more about you, and hopefully in the near future you come back to Arkansas, man. Hopefully we see you around here. For if it isn't for Natural State Wrestling, for any other kind of wrestling here, and hopefully the folks that are listening are able to experience you wrestle live. Maybe give someone a chair shot in live too.
First, but yeah.
Well, for everybody listening, that was the newest episode of Natural State of Wrestling podcast. My name is Edwin. This is Justin, and this is Max Castellanos joining us this week. Thank you all for listening.